Good morning, Aubrey. Welcome to episode 6 of this series. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really loving this series. I'm excited for you students to be able to see it. We have a lot of great episodes already, so if you've missed any of them, go back, start at the beginning with our part 1 answers, part 2 answers, and each time we pull out something very specific, a skill, a strategy that you can use to improve your IELTS speaking scores.
Exactly. So these are the perfect length lessons, guys. They're not too long. They're easy to consume. You could watch it more than once. So every video features common IELTS questions, different topics that you might see on the exam, and you hear our native sample answers. Always a band 9, not just because we're natives, but because I was an examiner for 14 years and I have trained Aubrey with everything I know, guys. So definitely go back and watch all of the episodes before this if you missed those. The first 3 episodes are about part 1, and then the last 2 we did were about part 2. So today is our last part 2 model answer, and then we'll go into part 3. So in part 2, you're always going to be asked to describe a person, a place, an object, or an event/experience. We have given you model answers about a place. We described a cafe. An event or experience describing a time you tried a new food. So today we're going to do a person because that is very common. So Aubrey's going to give you her answer today, and then I will pick out reasons why her score would be so high. So this is the perfect way to learn how to improve your own speaking score, guys. So definitely hit like and subscribe so you never miss one of these episodes. And guys, remember to take our free IELTS quiz, allearsenglish.com/IELTS quiz. Very easy to remember. All right, so today we're talking about successful people. Aubrey, I would like you to describe a successful person you know.
My very good friend Brooke is amazingly successful. She's such an interesting, impressive person. I met her several years ago. She was my neighbor and friend, and at the time I had employed her to cater. I was working for a university and setting up their catering, and she owned a catering company that she had started with her sisters. And she then branched out and started a cookie business, which is now thriving, absolutely flourishing. But the thing that's cool about her is she was not born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Nothing's been given to her. She has had to really work her fingers to the bone to make the money to start this business, to be able to buy the brick and mortar space, to have this retail business where people come in and buy cookies. They have a big delivery service, and it's just gangbusters now. They're making so much money. And it's like everything she touches turns to gold because she'll come out with a new cookie flavor and then it's everywhere. It's all over social media. Everybody wants it. Super popular. And now she's been able to find investors, other people who are interested in the same type of business that are working with her to expand and open other locations because, you know, birds of a feather flock together. So she's now attracting all these other people who are like-minded, who want to work with her. And it's just, you know, expanding by leaps and bounds as she's able to invest and now franchise other cookie places. Not to mention, she's actually hilarious. My face is always sore whenever we hang out from smiling. Like, my gut always hurts from laughing so hard because she just is the funniest person. She has a really great sense of humor. And it's amazing to me that someone so fun and interesting can have such business acumen, right? She's so savvy. She didn't get an MBA or anything, but she knows, like, the people to work with.
Thank you. When was the last time you spoke to this person?
Well, it's been a while, but I texted her just yesterday.
Awesome. Okay, guys, so let's talk about that answer and what you can learn from it. Basically, guys, you can learn just so many amazing idioms to describe successful people, business, making money. And guys, all of these things come up in all parts of the speaking test and the writing exam. So as we go through these idioms that Aubrey used, I'm going to tell you which ones you could also use in writing. Okay, so you get an extra bonus lesson today. Oh my gosh, Aubrey, so much great vocabulary. Okay, woo, my list is long. Let's get to it. So to branch out in a business sense, it means you are going to try new avenues of business. Maybe open new locations or introduce new products. This can also be personal. I want to branch out in my exercise routine. I want to try new HIIT workouts or whatever. So branching out, trying new things, expanding, thriving, flourishing. Those are two synonyms for being very successful. So not idiomatic, but very high level vocabulary, those two verbs, thrive and flourish. To be born with a silver spoon in your mouth. This reminds me of a Beatles song on Abbey Road, but to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth just means that you're born rich, like you were born very wealthy. That's all that means,
fund,
right?
Baby. Yep.
Totally, right? Working one's fingers to the bone. This is so full of imagery. I think this idiom is easy for you guys to remember. What does that idiom mean, Aubrey?
Just working very hard, and it doesn't have to be physical labor. Mental labor. Accountants can work their fingers to the bone if they're just working all day long. We do associate it a little more with physical labor. She's in there with the cookie dough and them making the cookies, working her fingers to the bone. Just hard work.
Totally, totally. I like that you noted it could be metaphorical, though. Well, it is metaphorical. We're not actually going down to the bone.
Please don't.
But it could be like mental wise as well.
For sure.
So a brick and mortar shop. We've talked about this term before because it is important these days. What's a brick and mortar shop?
An actual physical location. So if your store, your shop is online only, you don't have a brick and mortar. Mortar's like what goes between the bricks, the cement, to make an actual physical building. So once they have a retail space where people can come in and buy cookies, that's called a brick and mortar shop.
Awesome. Gangbusters, to be going gangbusters, or her business is going gangbusters. It just means, again, being very successful. It also sort of connotes being very busy at the same time. I feel like it's busy and money making. It's
Totally.
like all the things are happening, gangbusters. Everything she touches turns to gold. This is what, from like the Midas fable or whatever, right? So when would you say that? What does that mean?
Yeah, it just means you're really good at something, you do something really well. Like I was saying, she'll come up with a new cookie idea and it's always successful. So we associate this with people they have great ideas, they're really good at what they do. Yeah. It's just basically another synonym for successful, an idiomatic synonym.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, it's not just to be really good at what you do, because that doesn't always mean you're going to be successful either, right? But it is, like you said, more like successful. It's like everything you try is successful. Totally. All of it works. Birds of a feather flock together. So we usually actually cut this idiom in half because it is so long. And I would just say, well, birds of a feather.
Totally.
So birds of a feather, parentheses, flock together, just means that like-minded people find each other, right?
Totally.
Do we use this more for business or personal life?
Good question. More for personal life, I think. I could see myself saying this to someone about you. It'd be like, oh, I love this person that I work with. Birds of a feather,
Totally.
So we're both attracted to the same business, have a lot in common. So yeah, definitely more personal.
Yeah, totally. I say a similar thing to James all the time. Great minds think alike. And so again, we always cut that in half because we always have the same idea at the same time. Like I'll start saying something or he'll start saying something and the other person is like, huh! And then where I'm like, Great minds. So that's like a synonym phrase you could use. To improve by leaps and bounds or succeed by leaps and bounds, right? So to do a verb by leaps and bounds. Usually it's like to improve something by leaps and bounds, which means by a lot, by a huge noticeable amount.
Imagine
this would
instead
be
of
useful.
taking small steps, right? You're taking big jumps. Leaps is a big jump. Bounds, big jumps.
Yeah.
And that'll help you physically remember.
Yeah. So this would be very useful in academic writing task 1 to describe something that increases a lot. It increased by leaps and bounds. So the last phrase, and then I'll go back and tell you the other ones that could be used for writing. My writing is, I can't read my own
Acumen.
writing.
'Cause I remember saying
Acumen. That's
acumen.
what
Business
I was writing
acumen.
so fast.
Savvy. That's funny. I was probably speaking really fast. I apologize. You guys may have to listen to that a couple times or slow down the speed. I have a tendency to speak
Thank
really
goodness you remembered. I had a moment of panic. I was like, oh no, I can't read my notes. So this is not idiomatic, but this is just high level academic vocab. Business acumen is just business knowledge and know-how. And same with savvy. She's very savvy. It means like, she's smart. She knows what to do and what's going on. So let's go back and say which ones could be used for writing. Branching out, to branch out. Do you think that's academic enough for writing?
No, not really. I can't think how I would use that. And there are higher level, more impressive words that you would use instead for writing, right? Instead, we would say let me think. I know there's a word for diversifying a portfolio, for example.
Ooh,
right?
yes.
That's how in business we branch out by diversifying our portfolio, which that's band 9 vocab you'd want to use instead.
Diversifying the line of products, perhaps, as well,
Yes.
right? But diversify, exactly. So a lot of phrasal verbs like branch out, even if it's idiomatic, it might not be formal enough for writing. So that's a good example. Thrive and flourish, of course, you can use for writing. To be born with a silver spoon in one's mouth, I don't see that coming up on an academic test. It would be too informal to use in task 2, and it would take up a lot of room. That's a long phrase. Working one's fingers to the bone. I think that's good for task 1 letter, informal or formal. I think that's great, but not task 2. Still kind of an informal idiom there. A brick and mortar shop. What do you think about that?
Yes, definitely. If you are writing a task 2 and it has anything to do with corporations, instead of saying company, store over and over, this is a great parallel and definitely high level.
Definitely, definitely. Everything she touches turns to gold. Now, this is a really long one, but I could see this being used in academic task 2, honestly. I know it seems a bit informal, but I think it would score points with the examiner, guys. It's not too informal or slangy that it would be wrong, but I think it could be used to describe different people when you're discussing wealth, differences in society, stuff like that. So I think that would be useful for some task 2 questions. Birds of a feather flock together. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, definitely too informal. Task 1, informal letter, sure. But other than that, reserve it for speaking.
Totally. So we already said improve by leaps and bounds. That's great for academic task 1. And acumen and savvy. Task 2, all the way, baby, formal and impressive. So guys, make sure to look at the description below this video so you can see these phrases typed out. Watch this video a couple times so you can understand how to use them. And remember to check out the rest of the episodes in this series and hit subscribe right now so you don't miss the rest of the part 3 videos coming up very soon. All right, awesome. Aubrey, very good answer. Just such a band 9.
Thank you. And great feedback. Yes, I'm excited for you guys. Add some of this vocabulary to your vocab notebook. Practice it right away so you're ready to use it on test day.
Awesome. All right. Aubrey, thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bonus tip, get a 7 or higher with the All Ears English app featuring real-time transcripts and vocabulary practice that will push your score higher. Plus, fun video lessons with Lindsay, Michelle, and Jessica. Download the app today at allearsenglish.com/app.